that, but it was real wet. And they got their, they were on the side of the hill.
Got stuck.
They got stuck, but then to make it worse, it rolled. And they wanted entrance back into the yard to get that piece of equipment. And I said, I'm real sorry about that. You know, you guys haven't really helped us or, you know, been willing to listen to us. And so what they had to do, they had to get some huge wrecker from somewhere over in
It would
Virginia
reach
to
down.
come that would reach and would pull it up the hill. And I asked him, I said, I guess you are aware before anything's applied to this, that whatever you damage dragging this back up, we expect to be made whole. And I will be here, standing there. And they had to come and smooth a bunch of stuff out and all that stuff. Yeah, just hold your own.
We're ready.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're on.
Oh, I'll tell you one more quarter H thing. It can really get my blood pressure up. So these people were there and they said, we're going to be on your land. And I said, oh, no, you're not. I said, that's still my land. And he said, well, we paid you for it. And I said, oh, no, I haven't gotten a cent. And I said, that's my land. And the guy said, well, we're going to be on there. And I said, well, you better be careful. I said, because I'm a damn good shot.
Oh my goodness.
The guy looked at me like, what's wrong with her?
What a mess.
Okay, are we ready?
Mhm.
We'll call this meeting to order. Sheena, if you'll.
Sure. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together this evening. We ask that you help us to make good decisions, that you help us to do what is right and what is just, Father. And we ask for protection over our county and our students, and ask that we do your work here this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And introductions. Jennifer, we'll start with you.
All right, my name is Jennifer C. I'm a third grade teacher at Warfield Intermediate School.
Warren Satters.
Jennifer Straughn.
Doug Hines.
Dixie Dean.
Melvin Shook.
Sheena Van Meter.
Sean Collars.
Jennifer Rose.
Okay. And it looks like we have presentation from Josh.
He's on the phone. Josh is at the, what is it? Which age group, Josh? State
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, 12 state softball tournament in Charleston with his
Oh,
daughter.
wow.
So he's here to participate and answer any questions that you might have.
Are we going to get all this list done?
Can you hear him, Josh?
Of the work orders?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, yes, we'll eventually get to all of them. There's a couple there that aren't real high on the priority, and I've asked over at East Hardy Elementary School, I've asked her to maybe find an outside group for her, what she called it, a walkway, I think, Dr. Van Meer.
Yeah, it's a nature trail or something out in the woods that they use sometimes. And that's just not top priority right now. So I think Josh talked to her about maybe finding another group that would donate some time to help clean that up.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Because that could be ongoing all the time.
Yeah,
Is there a Boy Scout troop over there that
I'm not
might
sure.
want to take this on, or a 4-H club?
I don't think it's any Boy Scouts over there anymore. None that I'm aware of, anyway.
Go 10 club? There's no work over there now.
How's the middle school project going? I see activity out there.
It's going really well. We've had some delays. The units inside the building were actually bumped back to 10 weeks before arrival, which put us at the end of July. And then the rooftop units, we received an email last week stating that they were going to be bumped back 4 weeks as well. So everything else is going well. We were able to get the all new ceiling tiles for the hallways, cafeteria. Can't remember if I told us that last time. But they've already started to install those. They're leaving the old ones in where the units inside the building come out. That way they can locate those without tearing up the new tile that are in them, and then they'll put in the new unit and the new tile behind it. But it's going really well. And other than waiting on equipment, I think they're doing a really good job up there.
I guess they don't have a tentative completion date yet, or?
No, they do not. I tried to reach out, Louie and I tried to reach out to Train. If they have half of those units complete, go ahead and send us those half that are complete rather than send them all at the same time. That way, if we could get 20 in and then have those 20 already in, that would save us 3 or 4 days, down the stretch if we could get those units here.
And Josh, we have a unit at Moorfield Elementary School too that needs a full replacement, right? You want to tell them about that?
Yeah, so it's we cannot get the part anymore. I got a hold of Riddle Burgers. They're going to come in. They're going to look at it, and then Louis wants to see if we can order it and install it on our end and try to save us on that end. But those units are all 1996 and 1997, so the parts are obsolete, and we can't get that compressor anymore. So we need to go and find another route on it as well. And that'll be the third one we've replaced in the last 2 years on that building.
And what was the warranty on them? 10 minutes?
Oh, gosh, that would have, whatever it was, it's long gone expired.
Oh yeah. Because those are 29-year-old units on top of that building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like that the roof at Moorfield High School is leaking like a sieve. Did you see all the?
Yeah, we got it boiled down. That is actually, if you look at it, it's actually the metal. The metal siding is leaking. So we've got to get height roofing with a lift. It's actually separating. You can see the lining in behind it. The pieces that go in between the metal are falling down the wall, and the water is actually running in through the metal, not the roof.
Whoa, would that be under warranty?
I'm going to ask them. It's height roofing. They're the same ones that installed it. I'm going to ask them if that metal is also on a 10-year warranty as well. And if it is, obviously we'll get it fixed. But they told me if I could get them a lift, they would come and fix it and not charge us. So warranty side, I don't know, but I'm going to try to get them a lift as quick as I can.
Okay.
Is it on the front? Is that all right around the school or just on the front side?
It's on that front, Mr. Hines. That brown metal.
Mhm.
If you stand out there, you can see it close to Main Street. You'll really see it on the skinny part of the wall where it butts up to the sidewalk.
Mhm.
But as you come around the turn, you'll see the metal starting to come away, and it's happening all the way around that metal.
Thank you.
And since Josh is transportation too, and while we have him on the phone, did you want to say anything about the bus, surplus bus attachment that they have? It comes later on the agenda for them to approve, but I thought maybe you as under transportation just wanted to touch on it.
It's the ones that we were going to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones that we were going to sell. It's just again a surplus. Those will be the last two manual buses that we have. Everything will now be automatic in the fleet. And if Mr. Harper's there, I'll also receive back, it's $12,000 for air conditioning on the new buses.
He is not here, but we will make sure he gets that information.
Okay, I received that quote or an email, not quote, but an email the other day stating that cost. And we just add that to the quote.
12K. Okay. Anybody have anything else for Josh?
Have we heard anything else about us purchasing the 4 buses? Are we going to be able to get them? Or We have to.
Yeah,
Money
so
or-
Sarah, and I'll let her touch on this next week, but she did talk to, who was the reference you had her talk to at Burke and Herbert? And they couldn't do she did talk to them. They can't do a lease.
Okay, it was
Purchase.
Rob Tisha.
Yes,
Yeah.
need to get back to her. However, they said they could finance it, but they can't do it through the lease portion. And she did speak with the Country Roads Leasing and got some rates, and they have dropped. So I think we're moving forward with that. She'll just have to do everything she needs to do to put the leasing out for bid. Anything else? Josh, anything else you want to add?
No, if y'all need me again, feel free to call. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have got under student achievement recognition.
So, the update that I have for you. We have to turn in an annual report, and I thought this would be good information just for you all to have on our transfers, in-county transfers and students that transfer into us. So, students that live in county but transfer to a different school than the one they would be assigned to attend. This past school year in grades pre-K through 5, we had 16 students. Grades 6 through 8 this past school year, we had 6. And grades 9 through 12, we had 10. Our out-of-county transfers, which means students that are not residents of Hardy County but come to us, pre-K to 5, we had 53 come into the county. 6 to 8, we had 31. And 9 to 12, we had 31. We only denied one student that was a pre-K to 5 student that was an out-of-county transfer that wanted to come to us. We denied one student. And that denial was actually based upon they were a 3-year-old and they had met the eligibility requirements of birth to 3 in another county, but not Hardy County's requirements. So we did not accept that. We told them they needed to get enrolled at that school. And once they enrolled in their own county, we could accept them as a transfer. And I just think they chose to not go any farther. But
That's 115 kids, that's good.
every student, of course, helps with our enrollment.
Is
So
that higher than normal, more than normal?
That's,
yeah, about what we normally would expect. Yeah. And of course, now we're preparing for this year, but that was last school year. So we'll
Right.
give you an update when we have this year's.
Right. Yeah, that's, well, good.
Did we have any public comments? No. Okay. Consent agenda, we have the board minutes of June 9th, attachment 1. Have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. All those in favor? Aye. And they're approved 4-0. Unfinished business. We have the tabled application for permission to use Hardy County School Facility, which is attachment 2.
motion to take the table off the table.
Item off the table.
Yeah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to remove the item of business from the table. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's approved 4-0.
And before you proceed any further with that discussion, I think we have some legal advisement related to that policy that relates to that. So I would recommend that you go into executive session to have that discussion since it'll
Motion to go.
relate to legal advisement.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor, signify. Aye. Opposed? And we're in executive session 4-0. So
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
have a motion and a second to come out of executive session at 5:29 with no action taken.
Motion to approve the application for permission to use school property for gymnastics at Moorfield Intermediate School.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Janet,
Oh, sorry,
okay,
I'm
so
trying to shut this off.
approved 4-0.
Thanks.
I thought I had a welcome, so.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jennifer. See ya.
Okay, next thing under new business, approval of energy savings performance contract.
Motion to approve the energy saving performance contract.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we participated in 3 presentations from 3 companies that bid on the project. All great presentations, all had recommendations for different things that they thought would work for a project or projects in Hardy County schools. I know that it has been the theme, in my understanding from the board's perspective, that you prefer to keep business in the state of West Virginia and go with a group that has experience in West Virginia schools. So with that being said, I would say that the group that I would recommend we proceed to work with is ESG. And they will come in. They are the only group that has not done any type of an audit for us at this point. And so my recommendation to the board would be that we proceed with this group and allow them to come in, complete the audit, and then present back what their findings are before we proceed with any work with them. So that would be my recommendation at this point. I don't know that solar is something that is going to be beneficial to the county. And again, at this point, we can continue to look. If it is, I may have some other recommendations for an additional company to proceed with the solar piece. But right now, I think that ESG can meet our needs for some energy savings options. And I would be very interested in seeing what they would recommend for us.
So you're saying this is just to approve an audit for them to see
Yep.
what the cost of this is, not approving them to proceed with any work or anything?
This is not approving them to proceed with any work. They would come into our buildings, they would go through and do the audits, check our energy consumption, go do a thorough and bring us back information with their recommendations, and then we wouldn't proceed or move forward until we know what those things are. It's just agreeing at this point to proceed with completing an audit with ESG.
And there's no cost to that?
There's no cost to that.
Any further discussion?
When would this happen?
Well, after we finish up tonight, I would notify them that we would like them to proceed. And I would imagine they'll probably be here before the week's out, knowing the
Ready
group,
to
they
go.
were very anxious and ready to get started. So I think they would start immediately. Because of the solar tax credits that are coming to an end here now at the end of December, I think they also would want to explore those options to give us information about it. I don't think that it's a good option for us at this point in time, money savings wise, but I would want to have some discussions with them. And I think they probably too would want to start just reviewing all options, from the LED lighting to the solar to the lots of different equipment replacements. There were things that they all mentioned, but this group
Central
needs to get some
control.
idea. Central
Really made a
controls.
lot of sense to me.
Would an audit be now with school not in session?
Well,
The energy
they'll review-
consumption is definitely down.
They'll review all of our previous bills. That's how they review that. They'll look at those things. They don't get much energy consumption information by being in the building. They'll walk through to look at the equipment and look at the age of the equipment and how it's operating, but they'll look at the energy bills as far as.
I need to amend my
Gathering them.
motion in and specifically state that.
Yeah.
Move to amend my motion and what's in?
ESG,
Yes.
ESG.
G,
It's G and it's a company.
Second. Is that the letter? Yeah. Is that the company that
from Tom, yeah. All those in favor of allowing ES, did you have another question?
No, I just see the manuals over there on the desk.
Yes, and you're welcome to take and look at any of those from their presentations that you would
You
like.
have to
They're
vote
on
on
there.
the amended motion, right?
All those in favor of the amendment to the motion, about approval of energy savings performance, and I guess we would delete contract
Correct.
because we're not doing a contract, we're just doing an energy saving performance audit. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. So it's approved 4-0. Now, do I have to do anything else, or did that take care of it?
That's it. That's all we need for that.
Next up, we have approval of Hardin County Schools policy about the personal electronic devices policy, IEF, the first reading is attachment 3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this to go out for first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved 4-0 for first reading. And then because of the changes in policy or the new policy IEF, we needed changes in policy IED. So we have that before us, for first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0. Then the next thing is the approval of the sale of surplus buses, attachment 5. There were 2 of them. A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the approval of the sale of surplus buses. It's bus number 8 and bus number 40. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's approved 4-0. Now, board members and superintendent discussion, no action may be taken.
What I have for you is the, first of all, I have the required training document. Mine's in color. I'm sorry, yours isn't. I copied it on the regular color or the regular copy machine, and it's stapled in the wrong corner, which also really irritates me, but it is what it is. So you have one of those documents. The first page shows you it's the required training per federal law, West Virginia Code, and WVBE policy. That goes for a couple of pages, and then you'll see what the first one is employees, then it rolls to students, and then it rolls to specific groups. I just wanted you to see the massive amount of required training that we have to somehow fit in on the very limited days that we have. So I know we talk a lot about early dismissals and professional development days and how we have to do it. This sucks up those. There you go.
Stains.
There you go. This really just sucks up the massive amount of time we get at the beginning of the year. So I wanted you to have an idea.
Too bad this can't be plastered. Put somewhere that people can see it. And
Yeah.
understand why you have to have the.
Well, I've given it to our lovely, I've given it to our legislators multiple times, and they were really surprised that we actually have that much that we have to do and wanted to know where it came from. And I said, you guys, it comes from you. And every year they give us something else to do.
This is incredible.
So,
We put it on the website.
But above all
oh, we
this,
certainly can.
This doesn't even have anything for like general classroom instruction and things that
Right.
we need to do.
Right.
These are just the legal required things.
Correct. This doesn't have anything to do with the stuff we need to do to prepare our teachers to teach students. This is just this would be the mandates provided and sent down to us. But I just wanted you to have an idea of what those were. And then,
How do you fund them to teach?
that's a great question. And then additionally, I asked Jennifer to share with you a handout, which was an email that we've received. So federal funds have been, certain federal funds have been withheld at this point. And the state is telling us they don't have a timeline as to when or if they'll be released. They're reviewing them. And Jennifer, you want to talk about what those are and what that impacts?
Well, Title I is coming through at the moment. They have, they've made some adjustments to it. I looked, I think for like $1,200. Have to get rid of $1,200 in the budget or so. So that is in there. Now, they gave us allocations and we built budgets around all the allocations, but they're not releasing the money to us. So for Title II, we have that all of our additional PDs would be in there. So like, we're looking to continue the math with our elementary. That PD is built in there. We're not gonna be able to do that if you're gonna get this money. Our school leadership team is built in there. Our tuition reimbursement, all that, those types of things, stipends for teachers to do trainings and different things and pay them. You can't do any of those at the moment because there's no money.
The training system that holds everything on that big list that you
Oh,
have,
yeah, Vector. See, I
Vector.
didn't write that down, so I forgot, yeah.
it's in there.
Our professional development tracking system, can't pay for it at the moment because we don't get any money for it.
Well, but if we have to do it, what difference does it make if we have the money for it? We have to get the money for it.
Well, this is true. I'm just saying the money that where we have budgeted it is not coming at the moment. So it will have to come from county money that was not set aside for
For this specific purpose. Yeah.
which is
New encumbrance.
not good. Title III would be anything related to EL. We're not getting additional funding at the moment. And as you know, we have many ELs. On Title IV, it covers, you spend that on well-rounded curriculum, a little bit on technology and healthy and safety students, healthy and safe students. We pay for the counseling services that we provide to students from that. We pay for our alternative ed curriculum from that. We pay for our tobacco and drug cessation program from that. We pay for PSAT practice tests from that. We pay transcript services for the senior high schools. And, we were going to be paying for some EO intervention from that, but we will not be at this point. So we'll see. And those will just be, the one that has to be done the most is the alternative ed curriculum can be taken up by the county somehow, but the rest
Just
will
have to pull it
be
from textbook
paused
curriculum.
at the moment.
What's the total amount of all that? Do you have any idea?
I'll give you an estimate. We get like 40, I want to say maybe $47,000 in Title IV. Oh, this year in Title III, it was about 28,000, which was down about 6,000. So it was about 28,000. Title II was 66,000. And yeah, that's what it is.
So we have talked, and I just wanted you guys to be aware. I don't want you to think that there are things that we will have to have, like our PD tracking
Yeah, the
system.
vector, we have to have a way, and we have to do that. So
That and the curriculum. So there are a couple pieces there that we'll have to pull from other places, but the rest of it is just going to be on hold and may not happen. So I wanted you all to be aware that we may not have EL interventionists, and this is why, or we might opt out of additional math professional development at this point, and this is why, because we're just going to, we're going to put it all on hold. And didn't want you to hear things or be surprised, or if you saw something in the news as to what's going on, this is how it's impacting us directly at this point in time. And if they release it, and hopefully they will, hopefully to the full amount, but we'll adjust budgets as we need to and move forward and reactivate everything once we've been given the green light. But until then, it's just not something that we're comfortable taking any risks with, so we're halting.
So who's holding the money?
The federal government.
Or feds.
Yeah, the federal government. And the State Department is in the same kind of boat that we are. They're very apologetically clueless in the sense that they're really sorry, but they don't know what to tell us to do other than right now they don't even have a timeline. So it's not like they're saying, we're going to review this in the next 60 days and then we'll release it, or, by January 1st, we'll be able, there are no timelines. We have no information other than this is what's happening and how we're holding it.
Well, to hear Jennifer say that the Title III money, extra money that we get for language instruction for English learners, how many of those students do we have?
Oh, at the end of the year last year, we had 158 active. Now, there were probably 23 who were on monitoring. So add that to the 158, but we only get funded for the 158 who are active. And we spend the money on things such as PD for teachers to help instruct EL students, supplies for EL instruction,
Do we have, does
After-school
anybody, I
program.
can't find
after
my
school program for our
calculator.
ELs. Yeah, that's a big thing. We're not gonna be able to do that
Do
in
you
high
have
school.
It's at about
calculator on your
8%.
thing?
You're looking at percentage wise, it's about
I wanna
8%.
see how much 158 into 28,000 is, how much they're gifting us for an English learner.
But we can only spend it on certain things. We can't spend it on a teacher or
28,000
someone to work with the EL
divided by
kids.
158, $177 a kid.
They're really going all out, aren't they?
Uh-huh.
All out.
It's frustrating for sure.
How much comes from Pilgrims to help with the EL kids? Is there any funding there?
Pilgrims pays for our
Propio.
our translation service, which is a plus, because it really gets used a lot. They, about every 2 years, they give us $2,000. We probably go through $6,000 in translation, and it's good that they fund it for us, because if we had to spend our Title III money on it, you can only use it for an EL specific thing versus how we're able to use it now. Like the school nurses can call for any reason to communicate, not just an EL thing, if that makes any sense there. So we're very lucky that they help us. Total flexibility, because Pilgrims funds our proprio versus Title III.
And they
funding
help
our
with some
proprio.
supplies. They do a lot of
They
back
do
to
help
school
with
stuff.
supplies.
They're very
did our
supportive.
EL picnic
Been really
for
good
us.
partners.
So lucky.
Yeah, they've been good.
They do. They welcome us into the plan.
I'm
Do
just
different things
wondering
at
if
different
that's a
times.
source that could be tapped a little more,
We're
I don't
also
know.
helping with soccer.
So you're
Oh, okay.
You're
Parts
telling,
and pieces.
you're telling
Yes.
us that these 5 programs, we're not gonna have any funding at all, and so we're not really gonna do them unless we get funding.
Yeah, so I'm telling you that as of right now, that funding is not being, there are plans and budgets that we had to submit and get approved
Yes.
by the end of June, and that was all done. And they're there and they're ready to be funded. And then I think it was like June 30th or June 29th, we got an email that said, hey, hate to tell you this, but you're not going to have that money on July 1 like normal to use. And we can't tell you if or when you're going to get it. And we have no timeline or estimate of any more information. I believe that they said, and you guys correct me, you've seen the emails, it's something like they're reviewing the funding and how the funding is used, the federal government is. And because there's new administration in the Department of Education, they just wanted to basically see it and see what we were going to do with it, or what is being done with it traditionally. So that's all we know. And since that's all we know, I just told everybody I'm not comfortable even spending a penny of what we think we might get, because we might not get any. And I don't want to come back and say, well, darn, we don't have that,
Well, it
28,000.
happens in
And
Title I. We're getting.
yes,
Title I.
what you have on that list,
Yes.
it's not on that list though, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Title
So
I
those
C, which
things
we don't
there
get.
are the
but,
federal
yeah.
Yeah,
funded.
because we don't have migrants.
Right, we don't get any of that anyway, but Title I
Um,
Title I Part A is funded.
So have we thought about writing a letter to all our federal Congress folks and our representatives?
We have not personally done that. We certainly can draft something and get it out on
I
the
think we
board's
should.
behalf. And
I think we
yeah,
should, and
we
let
can do
them
that.
know how.
this is going to impact us.
Yeah.
and our
and
EL
I looked in
population
this
and our-
math here that we get a whole 28,000 for 158 kids, and tell them the dollars and cents per child,
Yeah,
and let them see.
we
Let
can
'em see what
certainly
they're
do that.
doing to us.
Yeah, Yeah, we can do that.
You know.
We'll get something drafted and send a copy out to you guys and let you look at it. And I just mainly wanted you to know where we stand.
Because like stipends, that's a big thing, and if we're not able to do and pay, we do a lot with the federal funds.
What we can do, what we will be able to do is, if we can't pay this company to come in and do math training, we'll use folks that we have in-house that are really strong, and we'll ask them to develop a training, and we'll do it in-house. So we won't just not do anything for our teachers. We'll still support them. We'll do everything we can with the folks that we have. And we have some really strong people that'll do a great job. We'll pick it up on that end. But
Which brings us, have we heard our scores back?
we have some scores and some are still embargoed. So as soon as everything's released and we're allowed to share them with you, we'll have a presentation and give you all of our updates.
Well, I think, well, you wonder, I think I would mention in this letter that, we haven't even heard back from our scores from the spring. They're forever putting pressure on us.
Yeah, that would be a
little
state.
pressure back on them
Yeah.
because we can't even plan our next year because they're down there with their thumbs up their AWS.
Yeah.
There's no sense in it.
Evidently.
Maybe you should write the letter. We'll all sign it.
There's just no sense in it.
Yeah.
They have computers that grade all that stuff. What are they doing? Changing the scores or
Well,
something?
they're don't know. I don't think that they change
No.
anything, but I do think that everything is looked at statewide and adjustments are made that way. As far as sliding up and down a scale, I think they aggregate the data is what I think that they do. And so once everything is finalized and reviewed and they make sure that it's correct and okay, then they'll tell us, because I can go in now and see scores. You can see them when students finish, but I think they double check everything and make sure that it's all
But
accurate.
if you're moving them up and down, that's not a real score.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be. We should be getting the raw scores.
And the SAT data I know is still embargoed, which I don't, but as soon as we get a full report, I will release
I know,
it to
you
you.
always do, Sheena.
Yeah.
You're good to us.
Well,
You always do. You always
I try
do
to
it
be,
to
although
us.
this is not good information to share, and I'm
And it's
sad
not-
that I have to
Our
share it.
our people at the State Department are just as
Frustrated as we are.
as
Yeah.
you over this,
Yeah.
because their hands are tied.
Well, why don't they do something about it,
I don't know what they are or aren't doing. I'm sure they're not
Yeah.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
They're,
I mean,
they're
They're
working on
fighting
it.
over
Yeah.
whether they're gonna give a vaccine or not,
oh,
Yeah, and I don't know how you fight the federal government at this point. I don't know what works. And as a whole, we've talked about this before, public education is not something that's being favorably supported currently. And
You're absolutely
you're going to see that
right.
for a while. I mean, that's just going to be the trend we're going to experience for, we're just going to experience
Yeah.
that for a while.
You're absolutely right.
But we have control over our county and our schools within the realms of, we still can make decisions that can benefit our kids, and we'll try to protect them from that and do everything we can to keep that going in the meantime.
Well, it really, it upsets me because the, taken away from the public schools. I can see that some parents, if they went to a private school and if the family has enough money and chooses to use their money that way, that they should be able to. And the bad thing is that those schools are able to choose who they have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why they're all so great, because they're able to choose. Well, we have a hit list of some wonderful students that we'd like to see how they can make them whole. It's just craziness, total craziness. And they're biting right into it. Now, I know some of them,
There's a private school that's not gonna have enough kids. Was Wheaton They didn't have enough for a football team. Of course, band, did you say about band? The school band in Boone County, they're not gonna have enough for a football team. They forfeited There was one of those private schools that didn't have enough, you know,
Well, it's, you know,
We have good teachers and we have good schools and our kids need us and we provide a lot of things that, we provide food and meals and sometimes we're mom and dad and make sure they get to the doctor and we make sure they get their counseling and we'll do everything we can to keep taking care of our kids. And as long as we focus on doing that, this other stuff will take care of itself. We'll just stay the course.
yeah.
Spend our money where we need to spend it to take care of our
I just,
kids.
You know, I think they think they're helping people, but they're honestly not.
It's a mess.
They're hurting, they're helping a few
Yeah.
and hurting all the rest.
So kind of on that same note, the only other thing I had for you guys was, we're going to be holding on some PD. We recently hired 2 of our EL teachers, took other positions. We're only right now going to repost one of those. The other EL position, we're going to try to pick up, double up some schools on one of those, just to save on that position on the end. So that'll cut a position. We're holding currently on a pre-K teacher, again, with some new federal legislation passing. It's a possibility that things may change on the landscape as far as, our needs here in Hardy County. So we're holding on that at least for another meeting, I think. And then if we need that pre-K teacher, we'll post it then, but we're just going to wait and make sure our numbers stay strong before we do that. And then our interventionists we're holding on to. So when we see an opportunity to save on the financial end of it to help balance things out, not just on the federal monies we're not getting, but we're trying to balance out on the other end. So we're making some tough decisions there too. So you might just hear.
Post the pre-K position as pre-K or kindergarten, or, where it's a multiple classification that if we don't have a pre-K, they go somewhere
I don't think
else.
you can combine pre-K and kindergarten. I think that's the one position you can't do the split on because of the pre-K requirements. It's pretty unique. It's pretty unique. We're working with we're working with each as though to potentially, if they can get some additional kids to sign up that qualify, they may be able to get federal funding to post for them for a position through them. So we're working every angle we can before we post it, but there may come a time when currently I think we're over 9 kids. So if that's the case, we're going to have to hire for that. It only takes 20. So it's half a class at this point. We're just holding off as much as we can. So we're not,
Well,
but
and
that's
it could
all I
be
had.
that we wouldn't even have to hire them until you see who shows up.
Yeah. That's just,
Have a sub ready to go if you'd have to.
if you need to, we can do that too. Yeah.
But then nothing's easy.
Indeed.
I assume the schools will be redoing their handbooks
Mhm.
because of all the changes. Could we get a copy of those after they're finished?
Absolutely. You can.
They're working on the cell phone policy tomorrow.
Well, it's out for bid. Currently, that's the one that's here that we just put out for
I thought
bid.
there was a meeting tomorrow to work on.
There's a meeting
Yeah,
tomorrow
okay.
that goes over all of the new legislation and how it impacts them in their schools. So they will look at this handbook or at this policy. They'll see that as one of the many new pieces and documents I have for them tomorrow, but they won't do anything with it officially until it's approved at the next board meeting. So they can't publish it or share it yet. We'll look at it planning on that being the policy as far as them planning their stuff, but it won't be printed.
I see that being really hard to enforce.
Yeah. I'd say that's
I
going to be
really do.
true.
Yeah. It'd be easier just to ban them.
Totally. Although some teachers are able to, use devices effectively, but
Well, and
too much abuse.
I saw
I think
where a
that-
medical thing that, unless you need it for medical procedures, but that's bull. Because like I use a continuous glucose monitor and mine comes to my phone, but it doesn't have to. It can come to one of the little devices and they could bring that device to school. They're not going to call their best friend on that. So there's a way around it and everybody has one of those.
Well, the good thing is like you said earlier, policies are not set in stone, so we can give it a go and we can gather data. And one of the things that's required as part of the bill is that your LSICs have to review the discipline data and the policies at their meetings. So we'll make sure, and I have that on my notes to talk with the principals about, is, you know, your LSICs have to have it as a standing agenda item, and they have to look at how many kids have been written up for having their phones, how many times as individual, you know, students, so that
Well, it would
we
be
can get some
curious
data.
to go to like a legislative meeting. Because I know last year I was appalled when we went to Charleston and those presenters, hell, everybody was on their cell phone except Doug Hines,
Yeah.
because he don't carry his with him.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's rude as hell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you're doing a presentation with people there.
Everybody
they
has
write,
it.
You know, but that's just me. Like I said, I keep mine. I lose mine.
Yeah.
I leave it in the wrong vehicle, but I never use it. I find that offensive. I'm serious.
Yeah. Oh, I
And I
totally
guarantee if you
understand.
go to the legislature, you're gonna see when they're gonna be in theirs. You know.
Yeah. So you're
And if
right.
they're gonna try to tell kids,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, Chessie did that study, remember
I
that
do.
study in her classroom about how many interruptions there were because of cell phones? I think it was 70 some.
Mhm. It was insane.
I mean, that's just, and it's probably gonna be about like when they first came in with the cell phones, that you weren't supposed to have them.
Mm-hmm.
And they had them anyway. And if we took them, they gave you an old broken phone, and they'd have an old phone. I'd have never thought of this, you know. It's
they give you a bad one.
yeah, they give you a broken phone and hold on to their good one.
Huh.
And you
You
know,
had to keep it, and the parents had to come
yeah, the
and get it.
parents had to come get it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them pretty outrageous sometimes, especially if
Yes, they were.
They're a huge
They've
part
got
of the
long
world we
distance.
live in. So hopefully we can try to at least manage it a little bit. But that's all I had, guys. I don't know if you have anything else for me.
Does anybody
Else
else
that's not.
have anything?
Oh.
Okay, future agenda items. Oh, I know. I would like, when we know who our LSIC committees are, who the members are, because they appoint them yearly, right?
Uh-huh.
I'd like to see who they are.
Okay.
I'd like to see a list of who they are.
That's on our committee list they send over, isn't it?
Let me get it.
Okay. I thought we already did that.
Anybody have any agenda items?
No, I, these things pass out South Branch stuff. Last meeting, just give you a little information.
Okay.
Sean.
Well, there's
It's pretty handy,
up
isn't
there this year, Mr. Shook, any upgrading, any renovating or anything?
In the schools, they're doing a lot of work up
I
there.
was gonna say they're always doing something.
Federal money?
Grant money, they probably got a lot of grant money.
What was the bathrooms? Adding
Electrical, they're doing the
bathrooms.
bathrooms, all the electrical system. Was it cosmetology building, they redid that.
Yeah. There's always something for
Yeah,
real.
they're doing a lot of work up there.
They do. They do a nice job of keeping things.
Local people going to work mostly, or
You know, I'm not sure about that, Mr. Hines. Building looks nice up there though.
Okay, there's nothing more there. Our next board meeting will be July 21st at 5 o'clock here at the Board of Ed office. Mission statements and accomplishments.
what goes on much in the summer.
Yeah, it's been kinda quiet.
Bus is still a little bit on Main Street.
Summer program started today.
But yeah,
The summer program started.
Yeah, I did. That's right.
I wonder how many students.
Oh, now that I don't know. I was at his party this morning for theirs. They had, I want to say 34 on the, enrollment log. My mind's not coming up with the word, but only 22 were there this morning, so
Hmm.
they're hopeful. They were gonna call all the ones who weren't there and see how many they could get today.
Is your son
Tomorrow.
attending?
Warfield's
Was your son
program
going?
also went smoothly, but I don't know their numbers. I know he started because I stopped in there and listened to them this morning.
Maybe you can get that for us sometime.
Yeah, we can for sure
Oh,
do
well.
that.
Oh, well.
Okay, so next we're gonna move on to the personnel agenda.
Okay, I'm gonna read the following and then we'll do a mass approval at the end. The approval of days without pay for Teresa Cook as listed and Angela Taylor as presented. I recommend the approval of the service personnel hirings for Cheryl Plum, substitute aide countywide and substitute secretary countywide. Rebecca Haynes, sign support specialist at East Hardy Elementary School, and Kaisa Taylor, ECAT aide kindergarten at Moorfield Elementary School. Service personnel extracurricular hirings, Lisa Walker, bus operator for bus run number 1, and Ralph Rinker, bus operator for the bus run number 2. Those are both extracurricular. I recommend the approval of the service personnel summer hirings for Michael Wilson, bus operator, summer program MES, and Melinda Beiser, aide, summer program MES. I recommend the approval of the professional personnel hirings for Jacob Hahn as a substitute teacher countywide, Donald H. Evans as a substitute teacher countywide, Emily Newton as EL teacher countywide, and Alexa Earl as a long-term substitute counselor for MES and MIS, and Rebecca Trent, special education teacher itinerant at East Hardy Elementary School. I'd recommend the approval of the professional extracurricular hirings for Taylor Zuber, technology support at MHS, Kendra Weiss as technology support at MIS, Robin Williams, technology support at MES, and Jamin Hirschberger as technology support at East Hardy Elementary. I recommend the approval of athletic hirings as Donald H. Evans as the girls basketball coach at East Hardy High and Rayanne Orndorff as athletic director at Moorfield High School. I recommend the approval of the letter of agreement with Dylan Ruddle as the custodian at Moorfield High School to change work hours for the summer only. The approval of the volunteer Christopher Kessner at East Hardy High School. I recommend the approval of the following resignations: Gerald Myers as athletic trainer at MHS MMS, Scott Connors as a substitute teacher effective June 12th, James Nutter as coach for football and wrestling 7th and 8th grade at East Hardy High effective June 1st, Misty Mungold as a substitute aide and a substitute custodian countywide effective June 25th, Nathan Kessner as the athletic trainer at East Hardy High School effective July 1, Vivian Carr as the authorized certified coach without pay for girls track, Moorfield High School effective July 7th, and Bonnie Kreitz as a science teacher at Moorfield Middle School and on her role as a strategic development team member countywide July 7th effective date.
Motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation concerning personnel.
Have a motion and a second of the aforementioned personnel actions. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And they're approved 4-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and we're adjourned 4-0.